So, was this one better than the last? Sample Formal Recommendation Report 2 works in a lot different ways than the first one. You're gonna, first off, see the real difference that paying utterly no attention to document design has. But there's a lot of other things you can learn. The first thing you notice is that the letter of transmittal is on top. That's good. However, it doesn't look all that good. It's unattractive from a few reasons. It uses a sans serif font instead of a serif font. It's spaced weirdly. Why is it this far into the paper? I don't know. It doesn't have their mailing address, which it's supposed to, and there's this weird extra space between all these lines. You'd really want the full address, these lines all close together, and then an extra space before them and extra space after them would be fine. In the report, comma, there should be a comma there, and that's something you're going to see a few times. The title page, it's fine. Again, the use of fonts isn't all that original or entertaining, but it is what it is. Table of contents. First thing we can tell from the table of contents is that the body is all one section that they haven't divided whatsoever. When I'm grading this, I can also look at it and go, hey, the body of this paper only goes from page 7 to page 8. That's not right. It means they're spending very, very little time on their actual report. I also noticed that they did this report by hand instead of let Word do it. If you are going to do more than one of these kind of papers, it would be really worth your while to figure out how to make Word do your table of contents for you. List of illustrations is actually a list of illustrations. Why are there only 2 of them in here? This immediately kind of makes me a little bit nervous. The abstract, we have a long paragraph. You need to always break paragraphs into chunks, but let's see what they're saying. This report is largely focused on the problems that consume unskilled managers found in the arts field. Okay. Managers that commonly fight to keep their organizations off the ground, are those who run locally supported organizations. Although major art organizations still run into financial and public support issues, it is more often that locally supported organizations fail. Most research that is done involving this problem for no real reason, points to our audience being turned off from supporting the organization's work. A lack of support for smaller locally supported organizations, don't use the same word twice in a sentence, could eventually lead to its failure. You don't support them, they might fail. You don't support them, they might fail. The failure, however, is not directly caused by an uninterested audience, but instead an unskilled or unqualified manager of the organization. This is where the solution in mind solves the problem, instead of terminating the manager and cutting ties with the already established staff of the organization. That's a sentence fragment. One could require them to take an online educational course, for no real reason, that uses a common knowledge database to inform the manager on how to successfully conduct their organization so that failure is not on the horizon. We only got in right at the very last sentence of what their product actually was. And if this is how the report's going to go, I'm a little bit frightened. Because how are you going to sell your product if you don't talk about your product? Oy. The assignment sheet says the introduction should have 4 sections: background, problems, purpose statement, scope, and should only be 10 to 15% of your report. Let's see how that works out here. We have introduction. This is common proposal, so we're missing a few things. Figure 1, seen as figure 1. That's good and fine, but how many lines is this paragraph? I don't feel like counting it, but that's another thing that's going to cause someone to go, ooh. The introduction is all about one specific theater, the Traveling Jewish Theater, or TJT, and the problems they were having as of 2011. that's okay if you're trying to sell your product to TJT. But since we already know they went out of business in 2015, that's probably not going to happen. So who are we selling this to? Right away, this first part of the introduction, as well as not really fitting in the established sections, doesn't give me any idea that this person knows who their client is. Who are you trying to sell to? You're going to organize your report differently depending on who you are. So, this is common. I still don't know what role this does in the introduction, but there you go. Long paragraph, I'm bored. Proposal. The proposal just says, it is important that funders are encouraged to support leaders' development of organization. I think when you're proposing your subject, you probably don't want to wait a few sentences to get into it. Okay. Let's see, we have the body, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. None of them are listed in the works cited, and each section is one gargantuo paragraph. Yes, gargantuo is a technical word. And the problem there is that my eyes are glazing over, as I know yours are. By now, you've noticed that they're not using great fonts. Why is it a sans serif font for the body text? I don't know. But it's not as easy to read. Body. Okay, characteristics are important. Well, I would think characteristics are important. How communities react. Another challenge. You know what none of these headings suggest? A solution. And it is an interesting thing that they go into a lot of time talking about the problem. Here's some data. If our program needs to be run efficiently. Say the organization is providing a substantial amount of quality work in the same size community, then depending on the organization's reputation, the community might be more willing to support them because of the benefits that will ensue. Well, possibly. I still don't know what this has to do with the product you're trying to sell. The how communities react section seems to be another let's see general trends things. Another challenge. Not only do arts organizations need to be prepared for an already unpredictable business environment, but they also must find out how to stop the ever-declining attendance rates. Okay. Well, that is a problem. But we don't really have any solutions here. If an online professional development training program were to be provided online at affordable cost, the nonprofit organizations and companies alike across America would see immense benefits because of it. And they list out a few benefits. What can you tell me about what this program is actually like? I've read this thing many times. I couldn't tell you a word of it because this author doesn't tell me a word about it. Recommendation, oh, by the way, these are the things that you need to do. But it doesn't tell me how they're supposed to do them. And that's a problem, because I am not going to buy a product that you're only going to describe in big, broad, general terms. There are formatting issues all over the place with this. I hate the long paragraphs. I hate that that the table of contents doesn't really represent how the paper is actually organized. But the biggest thing here is they're doing a proposal trying to get you to spend money on a product that they're not telling you about. Now, you don't have to be an expert to know. Is that good business sense? Whenever we did the sample student papers, the main goal was to get to see how other people mess up. And not to be mean or pick on them, although that is fun, but because if we can catch errors in other people's stuff, less chance of us doing it ourselves, or at least it makes it easier for us to find those things when we do. So I hope it helped in that way. See you next video.